Hello and welcome to a new Destiny 2 video where I will be explaining the new build system, how it works, and have an example of one of the builds that I've made, or two of the builds that I've made. One is PvP and one is PvE. The new build system in Lightfall is pretty interesting. Don't have an exact opinion on if it's better than the old system or not. Just it may be worse right now just because we haven't played around with it enough. It has only been, what, 3 days since Lightfall has come out, and yeah, I will try to explain the build system as best as I can. So yeah, let's go straight into it. So this new and updated build system is similar to the system that came before Lightfall, but has some major changes. The armor mods, these general armor mods, are all the same, except resilience has been upped in energy cost, which means that people won't be able to get as much resilience as they did before, and also having a lot of recovery, for example. In this new mod system, there are new heavy ammo mods. There are new, or every mod is new basically. Every build needs heavy ammo finder, which increases the drop chance of heavy ammo and kill. This is different from pre-Lightfall, where it was a certain weapon, but now they're more focused on elements, weapon types, and just more or less specific to make it easier. Heavy ammo finder is basically rocket launcher ammo finder from before Lightfall, for example. There's also special ammo finder, which is really useful, but heavy ammo and special ammo scout, they're not exactly useful. They're more for helping the team out instead of yourself. So if your build doesn't have enough energy, I do not recommend running these. There are these mods which are like basically the same as pre-Lightfall. Reduces super energy when super cooldown when using a class ability near targets, super energy on grenade kills, stuff like that. These, yeah, they're the exact same. So I mean, when you're building your build, just make sure to just basically read over everything and just make sure it all ties together. For example, my build, this is my void grenade build, which I'll be running throughout the season and will be looking at and will telling you about. There are multiple different mods on this which help out the overall build. For example, you've got all these harmonic siphon, which is tied to your subclass, where rapid void weapon fountain blows create an orb of power. This is useful because all these new armor charge mods are based on orbs of power. So picking up an orb of power will give you 1 armor charge if you have an armor charge mod equipped. Therefore, I don't know why that is like this. I think the system isn't exactly, well, this loadout system isn't exactly perfect yet, I'd say, because of how, well, if you can see here, my void arms have got grenade kickstart on them, but as you can see here, they don't here. So it's, this loadout system is still kind of weird and not completely fixed, so I do not recommend running. Maybe still use dim right now if it's working instead of this. So I have what, my Tusked Allegiance gauntlets with resilience and 2 grenade kickstarts, so therefore I will put those back on. And then, well, this is quite useful, but also this is useful. But I already have a decaying armor mod. Well, so there are basically two new types of mods. Like, for example, how before Lightfall there were elemental well mods, charged with light mods, and the Rasputin Warmind cell mods. There are now armor charge mods and then decaying armor charge mods. Armor charge mods are basically like charged with light. You get an armor charge, you throw a grenade for example, then it goes away. One of your armor charge goes away and it's used. For example, when your grenade energy is fully expended, you gain grenade energy. Additionally, your armor charge is consumed and gain additional grenade energy for each stack. So you'd want to get 6 armor charge for example, then throw a grenade, and then theoretically you'd get a lot of grenade energy back. And stacking 2 of these would make it even more. Therefore, it is harder to... I'd say it is harder to make very powerful builds because of this. This is kind of lacking in the ingenuity that the previous system had. But there are also decaying mods, which gives, for example, this one, Font of Focus, gives a bonus to discipline while you have armor charge, and now it decays. So then you've got 10 seconds of 1 armor charge when you get it. So you get armor charge, you've got 10 seconds of increased discipline. This is more like Elemental Wells in a way, where Elemental Wells would give you like Font of Might, for example, which would only last for 10 seconds or something. And most armors are the same. This is pretty good. I mean, theoretically, emergency reinforcement is pretty good. You'd be able to get high damage resistant builds with this, but it consumes 3 or more stacks of armor charge, which is not optimal. There are weapon surges on the legs, which are basically Font of Might before certain weapons or certain weapon damage types, like Void Weapon Surge and stuff. But there's also stacks on stacks, which is actually quite a useful armor mod because it grants an additional stack of armor charge. And then on the legs there are all these finisher ones, which using a finisher on command spawns orbs of power for your allies. Finishers for respiratory abilities, grenades, but these consume, usually the more powerful ones consume many armor charges, so it's not, I would say they're not extremely good. Utility Kickstart has become an armor charge thing because, I mean, it was quite overpowered before, well, not exactly overpowered, but very useful and mandatory in most builds, so I'd see why they'd do that. But that is basically the new build system. And now I'll show you how to make a build, basically.
Hopefully you've got a better understanding of how the new mod build system works and what the different mods do. Now I'll show you a build that I made, a void build. I'll make a full video of it later, probably next week, but right now I'll just show you how I built it, why I put the certain mods in and stuff like that, so you have a better understanding of how to make a build in this new build system. So this is my void infinite grenade build that I tried to replicate from the other video that I made. My main goal is to get as much resilience, recovery, and discipline as I can to get, well, to get my grenades back faster, get the most damage reduction and health benefit. So there are the the heavy ammo finder and special ammo finder are very useful in this new build meta because of how they give you ammo to every heavy weapon. And you want the siphon to give you orbs of power because you need orbs of power to get the new build armor charge to work. I put in grenade kickstart, which is very similar to the previous grenade kickstart, where it gives you your grenade energy based on how much armor charge you have when you throw your grenade. And then on my chest plate, I'm basically doing the same thing, looking at a bunch of different mods. There are a bunch of resistances. Most of the harmonic stuff just is the same as your class. For example, if you're running Void, you will get Void resistance if you use harmonic resistance, the mod. And then there are the chest plate doesn't have many good mods. The resistance once your shield breaks only gives you ×2 resist, or around 4 to 5 seconds, which is quite useful if you're dangerously low and trying to get out, but costing 3 armor charge isn't exactly the best. The Void mod I put on my legs is basically Font of Might from pre-Lightfall, where it does give you a damage boost for Void weapons, which is very useful in most builds. And then for your legs, most of the mods are the same except Utility Kickstart, which needs armor charge now. But I would recommend only having one decaying mod and then one standard mod, just because more than that could overwhelm it and cause like all your armor charges to run out very fast. And I have no idea what is prioritized. If you have 2 on, and maybe none of them are, and they both don't work or something. But we can only speculate right now since this mod system hasn't been used as much. There are a ton of finisher armor mods on your class item which are semi-useful. They can instantly give you grenades back or melees back, which is useful in most contexts, but it costs 3 armor charges to use, which is a bit much. As you can see, I'm just checking over what I have and if it combines well with my build. Harmonic Siphon gives me Void Weapon Final Blows, grant me the Orb of Power, which again is used for armor charge. And then yeah, that's basically it. Hopefully that helped you understand most of it. I'm pretty sure Grenade Kickstart has been lowered in energy cost now. It costs 1 energy now, since it might not give that much energy. Again, we have to test more to find out whether, well, what if the armor charge mods actually do enough to be useful as a build in general. Next, I will show you an example of one of my PvP builds. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. The PvP mods are fairly similar to the PvE mods, except you don't need any of the finders or anything. You do want as high stats as you can get, and maybe getting multi-kills generates the Orb of Power. So if you are good at PvP, then you can use those mods to get you Orbs of Power, so you can actually have armor charge in PvP. Now they have specific targeting, like solar targeting or arc targeting, for example. So it is based on your weapon. If you have the disparity, for example, which is stasis, you use stasis targeting to give you extra targeting acquisition and stuff for stasis weapons. Next, the arms, it's mostly the quick draw and reload speed, which work the same as the targeting mods, where it's a certain element type which it gives you, the dexterity and the loader mods. Other mods like Focusing Strike, for example, are semi-useful, but it's very situational. It's mostly you just read over them to see what it does, which is just common sense. Here I'm just getting as much recovery as I can, and then on the chest it's mostly unflinching. The rest is quite useless because I don't think it reduces damage in PvP. And then, so yeah. Charged up is kind of useful, but not really, since it doesn't, you won't be getting that much armor charge in PvP anyway, unless it's like super time and your teammates have a lot of supers going. On your legs, you definitely want stacks on stacks, and the rest isn't very useful. The scavengers aren't the best right now, because I think the old ones got nerfed, so these ones most likely got nerfed as well. And then on your legs, it's mostly just the outreach, bomber, and distribution class armor mods, which are useful. Font of Restoration's okay. Utility Kickstart you probably want, but all the finishing mods are next to useless, actually useless in PvP, because you cannot finish anything. So yeah, that's basically the PvP build complete as well. They made it so that no mods give any stat buffs from what I saw, so getting 4 100s is harder now. Mostly I guess they just wanted it to be attuned to the subclass and the fragments which give you stat buffs, but I don't know since they haven't talked about that, I don't think. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful and hope it helps you be creative and create good builds to mess around with. I will continue to do weekly build videos. I've already got 2 lined up. Both of them for Titan, and one of them which uses the new exotic helmet which enhances the diamond lance. And the other one, yeah, it's just my void build, which you can still copy from before, except I haven't tested it yet, so we're going to have to I'm going to have to see if it actually works as intended. I hope you have a good day, and see you next time.